Hello, everybody. Merry Christmas once again. Hope all y'all are doing well. Hope your families are happy, healthy. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying the holiday season. But as always, the show must go on. We still have League of Legends topics to talk about, and today I wanted to go over a story from the recent Thorin and Carlos G2 Carlos interview. Now, regardless of what you think about Thorin, I'm not exactly the biggest fan of him. He actually has me blocked on Twitter, so I'm part of the gang. I've never had like a bad interaction with him or anything. Somebody like made a joke making fun of him on Twitter, and I liked it, and that tweet got nuked. So I got caught in the crossfire, but it was worth it. I would do it again, whatever. But I did think that this interview with Carlos is actually a very, very good one because Carlos and Thorin get along, and Carlos is really willing to like open up to him and give a lot of spicy details and takes about last G2 offseason, this whole G2 season, this most recent G2 offseason, and G2 going into the future. So if you're a fan of, competitive League of Legends, the LEC, or G2, even if you hate Thorin or whatever, I think you should look past that and really watch this interview. And there is a couple of videos that I'm going to be making from this interview because there's some really, really interesting key talking points. But one of them is Carlos talking about a super team that almost was, a super team that almost happened, and that's what we're going to be talking about in this video today. So definitely drop a like if you guys do enjoy it. I would appreciate that so much. And subscribe to stay up to date on all my latest content. I think we're like 20 subs away from 10,000 if we could get it. Maybe a Christmas miracle, but either way, hitting it by the end of the year would be absolutely awesome. But that being said, let's get right into this. So this is again from Thorin's channel, Thorin, Thoorin. If you guys want to check out the channel, Carlos on Perk Superteam, selling reckless, considering Viper, talk to Thorin, League of Legends. I haven't watched the whole thing yet. I'm like 40 minutes into it, but already I have like 3 or 4 video ideas from the beginning of it. But the context of what they're talking about here is how Perks left G2 last year. It's some stuff that I've already covered on this channel. How they talk about, Perks wanting to try and go to Fnatic, Carlos being like, no, Perks, you can't go to Fnatic, I'm sorry, whatever. And then after that, Perks was like, okay, well, if I can't go to Fnatic, then I want to stay in G2, I don't want to leave, I'll play AD carry for another year, whatever. And then Carlos, is being like, okay, no, that's also not happening. You said you want to leave us. You don't want to be here. I'm not keeping you on the team if you're checked out. I don't want you. The team doesn't want you, whatever. If you guys haven't heard that happened, I have videos about it. That is what the conversations happened between, Carlos and Perks, then the meme that Perks like punches the table or whatever. So then Carlos kind of explains, okay, Perks knew he couldn't go to Fnatic. He knew he couldn't stay at G2. So, you can't stay here, but you got to go, you got to find somewhere to go. So then he started diving into his other options, and that's where, Carlos starts dropping this really, really interesting bomb that's not even necessarily about G2, obviously. Another super team in the LEC that almost happened, and some of the players in that roster, because I think we've heard a little bit about different teams trying to form super teams before. Vitality, we know the meme last couple of years they've been trying to get a super team going, but hearing it, that they actually were trying to get something going, and hearing the actual names is pretty interesting to me. So let's see what Carlos had to say.
So yeah, the moment he realized that he couldn't go to Fnatic and he couldn't stay as AD, then he went for the other options. Which then he tried to do a super team that was significantly better than the one in Fnatic, than the team in Fnatic, sorry. He tried to do that with Hilizan as support, and I think it might have been Upset as AD, if I'm not correct, if I'm not wrong. Definitely top lane Alphari, and then jungle Trick. He tried to do that and him as mid laner. He tried to do that for Misfits and Vitality. I tried to proactively make it happen. I did everything in my hand, I'm not expected to. I still tried because I want to sell him, right? For multiple reasons. One of them being that he was indeed family, actually. So that did play a positive role. And I was speaking with Misfits and Vitality about buyouts. And the buyouts were, I can tell you already, it was like 1.2 million. And I was ready to accept.
It's crazy.
Well, let me tell you, Cloud9 didn't pay 1.2 million. They paid I can't tell you the number, but we're talking about people know. Fucking people know.
People know the rough amount.
People know the rough amount. So not even it's below half, right? So way below half. So we're talking here about the fact that I would have sold him to a better team for way less money than I had offers for him from North America to Europe.
So there's a lot to unpack there. One, him talking about the fact that he had a $1.2 million buyout offer for Perks. is pretty crazy. Him saying that Cloud9 paid way, way less than that, under half of that. So Cloud9 paid less than 600,000 euros. I'm assuming they're talking about for perks. That's pretty crazy. Again, I don't know if we know exactly what the exact number is, or, obviously he's saying some people know, but he's not going to tell us who knows and who doesn't. Pretty crazy. But then, talking about that potential super team that almost went down, Alfari Trick in the jungle, which that surprised me the most. Perks, and then Upset and Hillisang, that all could have been so crazy. And if that would have happened, obviously it would have changed the whole landscape of not only the LCS, but the LEC, or not only the LEC, but the LCS as well. Would have changed so many different teams, lives, careers, not only last offseason, not only this past season, but also would have changed this offseason so much as well. And that's just so interesting to think about. Like, obviously, Hill is saying the super team, the reason the super team didn't work out, Alfari was actually the main component that didn't work out. Alfari obviously jumped ship to Team Liquid, and then once Alfari went to North America, this whole super team idea just kind of dissolved. There's not many great top laners in EU. There weren't many available. Once Alfari's off the table, the super team can't happen. So then Hillisang ends up re-signing with Fnatic. That means Whippo's going to stay, and then obviously Reckless leaves, but then that means Upset goes to Fnatic as well, and then that leads to, Upset and Hillsang having this crazy year together. That also leads to, the Upset Worlds drama and all that fallout, which is Adam drama. We would have missed out on that whole storyline, which would have been crazy. Alfari, if he would have stayed here and not gone to Team Liquid, yes, he was awesome in the LCS. Yes, he made probably a bunch of money for a year. And yes, they made it to Worlds. They did a lot of cool stuff. But obviously, he didn't have a great year in the LCS either, outside of the game, having the Jat drama, getting benched, all that craziness. None of that would have happened. And how good would that super team have been in the LEC? Obviously, we pretty much get to see that team this year now. We're getting to see Alfari, Perks, Carzzy, Lebrov. It's not the same as Upset Hillsang, which would have been crazy. But also Self-Made, I think, is a significant improvement over Trick. So it is still cool that we're getting to see, a Perks, Alfari super team together. Yes, it's 1 year later. But it is cool that this is still working out. But did think that it was very interesting that Carlos dropped this bomb on us. Obviously, he said Vitality and Misfits. Now, Misfits is in the point where they're still not really a super team at this point. Vitality ends up getting the job done, but it is kind of cool to see that there are some teams in the LEC trying to make big splashes like this. And again, we had heard rumors of teams trying to form super teams or whatever, but I thought it was cool from Carlos to actually hear the exact teams, the exact players, and then just thinking about how it could have changed everything. All the storylines we know from the last year could have been so different. We never would have got Perks coming to North America, and all these things. But also very interesting that Carlos is so set on not selling him to Fnatic that he would have been willing, like he says, to form a better to help form a better Vitality team or better Misfits team than he even would have been forming on Fnatic, just to make sure Perks doesn't go to Fnatic. To me, that is a little bit weird, because yes, I get it, he hates Fnatic, it's their number one rival, whatever, but if you're a G2 and you're trying to be the best team in Europe and you're trying to be the number one team and you're trying to be the best or whatever, why would you be willing to form a better team over a worse team just because of your personal vendetta against Fnatic or whatever? To me, that was a little bit sus. That was a little bit weird. But, obviously Carlos has his ways of doing things or doing business or whatever. But I did think it was pretty interesting. So this was, the super team that could have been, that almost was, but never was. Like, damn, that would have been a really sick roster to see. And yes, Fnatic still ends up with a really cool team. Upset and Hillsang are in a good spot. Alfari and Perks end up teamed up in a good spot. But having those four guys together with Trick, I'm not super excited about, but, who knows how that would have went. But, yeah, pretty interesting stuff. Like I said, definitely a lot more bombs from this interview. This will not be the last video I make on this interview, so go check it out if you want. But if not, I'll also be covering the hot topics on this channel for you guys. So definitely drop a like if you did enjoy it. I would appreciate it so much. Leave a comment down below. Do you think it would have been cool to see that super team, or are you happy with how 2021 worked out? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Subscribe to stay up to date on all my latest content. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and peace.